Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am your teacher. Dear students, our today's poem is poem number 23, Images and Impressions. These are actually the three poems which have been brought under the title Images and Impressions. And these three poems include Autumn by T.E. Hume, Fog by Carl Sandburg, and Metro Paris by Ezra Pound. These are all written by Images poets in the early 20th century in revolt against Romanticism. These poets are in favor of clarity of expression through the use of exact and precise imagery of the things. Their aim is to promote visionary quality among the readers. Now let us see what these poems tell us. Now we see the first poem, that is Autumn by T.E. Hume. I take its reading. A touch of cold in the autumn night. I walked abroad and saw the ruddy moon lean over a hedge like a red-faced farmer. I did not stop to speak, but nodded, and round about were the wistful stars with white faces like town children. The poet tells us that one autumn night he went outside for walking. As he was walking, he saw the red-colored moon bending over a hedge. The moon appeared to the poet as red as the face of the village farmer. The healthy face of a farmer is red because he lives in an unpolluted environment, and here a comparison is made. The poet is using a simile as the red glowing moon appeared to him like the red face of a farmer. And in the next couplet, the poet says that he did not stop, rather he nodded the moon. Here we physically feel that some sort of interaction was taking place between the poet and the moon. The moon was secretly speaking to the poet, whereas the poet was not answering it back but nodding in response. Then the next image appeared to the poet, which is that of the stars. The stars were looking at the scene wistfully. These stars were as white as the faces of the town children, who had lost their redness or freshness of the faces because of living in the polluted environment. We can trace some examples of personification also. The leaning of the moon and the wistful stars are all examples of personification. Students, our first poem has been done. Now we move to the next poem. Our second poem is Fog by Carl Sandburg, and I take its reading. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over the harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. In this little and beautiful poem, the poet tells us in these lines that the fog comes over the city and as if sits on its hind or back legs like a cat, looking over the city and the port, and later on, when the sun shines brightly, it disappears as stealthily as it had come earlier. Students, the picturization of the arrival of fog and its spreading over the city and the harbor and resting on the back legs like a cat and then disappearing stealthily, all these details create a crystal clear image of a fog-stricken city. And these images appeal our senses. Students, our third and the last poem under the title of Images and Impressions is Metro Paris by Ezra Pound. Let's take its reading. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. Metro is an underground railway station in Paris. The poet looks at the crowd of people or travelers who appear to him as individuals, as petals. but the wet black bow is the symbol of the polluted life of the big metropolitan city, Paris. Students, when we read these short poems carefully, we enjoy the keen physical and social observation of the Imagist poet. I hope you would have enjoyed their style. In the end, I say you thank you, with the hope that you would have understood it.